Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our Wednesday talk brought to you by Room to Grow, Sandby and Straight Nature. Before we get started, I'd just like to thank our sponsors. Obviously, Straight Nature, we wouldn't be able to do this without them. And Straight Nature is the leading specialist natural history publisher in Southern Africa and is associated with the best-selling and most highly regarded field guides in the region. Straight Nature publishes full-color illustrated books across a variety of subject areas, including birds, mammals, reptiles, trees, and flowers, as well as the marine environment, geology, astronomy, general wildlife, and the very popular children's nature. And then from myself, Brett from Room to Grow, where Room to Grow has been designing and creating outdoor living spaces in and around Cape Town since 2002. And we offer a complete suite of design, construction, and other exterior design elements to our retail, commercial, and residential clients. And then it's my great pleasure today to introduce Willie Olivier. Willie has explored the highways and byways of Southern Africa on foot, by road, and by four-wheel drive for the past 5 decades. Based in Windhoek, Namibia, he is the author of numerous books, including African Adventurer's Guide, Namibia, Hiking Trails of South Africa, as well as touring in South Africa. And as usual, there's a special at Straight Nature online for a book this week, which you would have all got a link in your invite. Willie will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. So if you'd like to pop those not into the chat box, into the Q&A at the end of the talk, we'll have some time to have a Q&A and have a chat with Willie afterwards. So Willie, thanks so much. Looking forward to this, and over to you.
Good morning, Brett, and good morning to the listeners from Namibia, where it's starting to look like we're still going to have another day of good rain, a little bit late seasonal rain, but we always appreciate rain in Namibia. The show that I will be doing with you covers a large area, but I will try my best to cover as much as possible of Etosha, which is Namibia's flagship national park and also regarded as one of Africa's top national parks. I'm going to try and go through quite a lot of Etosha. It's a big area, it's a big place, it's got a lot of history and everything, so I'm going to be touching here and there at some places. Starting off with the title, Etosha, the Lake of a Mother's Tears. And if you look at this screen, it doesn't quite look like the Lake of a Mother's Tears. In fact, all you see is dry clay mud, cracked. But the name Etosha, the Lake of a Mother's Tears, the name actually originates, it's a little bit of folklore about a Haikum woman whose child died, and then she cried so much that her tears filled up a lake. The name Etosha, as we know it, is derived from the Oshindonga name. Oshindonga are the people living to the north of Etosha, which means a bare place or a place where no plants grow. The history of Etosha, actually more recent geological history of Etosha, goes back about 3 million years ago, when it was fed by the Upper Kunene River, forming a lake larger than the current lake Victoria in East Africa. Then 35,000 years ago, the Upper Kunene River was captured. A process called river capture was captured by the Lower Kunene River. And this deflected the flow of the Upper Kunene River to the Atlantic Ocean on the Namibian coast, and starving the Etosha Pan of water whatsoever. And that happened just 35,000 years ago. And that's why we now have an ephemeral lake, which just fills up during exceptional floods in southern Angola in the Kuvalai Basin. Over the last 35,000 years, the lake levels have fluctuated quite a lot, and archaeological research has shown that mollusk fossils were present 10,000 years ago, and even as recently as 5,000 years ago, they have found that Setatunga, which is an antelope, which only occurs in permanent waters like the back swamps of the Okavango Delta, actually lived at the entrance of the Kuvalai Delta River, the Ekuma River, into the Pan. So what was left when of Etosha is a pan 120 kilometers from east to west and 60 kilometers in maximum width. And together with other pans, Etosha Pan and the other pans form 27% of the park's surface. And that is what you will see most of the time today. If you don't see cracked mud, if you're driving along the edge of the pan, this is what's likely to greet you on a very hot day. Mirages, you will see water in the distance, and it's not in fact water, it's just a mirage. Okay, this is, so it's very seldom that Lake Etosha fills up. That is actually a lake. Most of the time it's a pan, it's an ephemeral pan. It's only when there's heavy rain in the Kuvalai Delta in Angola. And from what we hear is that this year there's the likelihood of the Kuvalai Delta waters reaching Etosha Pan again. This is a view of Fisher's Pan, which is the easternmost extension of Etosha. It receives its water from the Omuramba Uvambo. Also, 10 years can go by, no water. This particular occasion was 2021 when it had a lot of water. And last year it also had a lot of water. And in times like that, it attracts quite a lot of bird life, especially water birds. Just a scenic shot of the sweet grasslands of Etosha, which is a very important grazing area for the wildlife, especially the antelope and the grazers in Etosha. The Aikum, they were the first, let's call it, known people of living in Etosha. They lived along the edges of Etosha, the springs, and wherever there was water, pursuing a hunter-gatherer existence. And they lived in the park in 1907. Well, they lived in the area in 1907 when the German administrator Friedrich von Lindequist established Game Etosha, as it was then called, Game Reserve Number 2, approximately 80,000 square kilometers in area. In 1954, the Aikum were ordered to leave the park because they were said to interfere with the ecology of the park and various other reasons. 1958, the park was renamed. Game Reserve Number 2 was renamed Etosha Game Park. And 1967, it was, again, the status was elevated to that of the Etosha National Park, stretching 280 kilometers from east to west and 105 kilometers at its width. Now, over these years, the boundaries of Etosha changed numerous times. Originally, when it was proclaimed in 1907, it was about 80,000 square kilometers. But by 1972, because of changes in its boundaries, it covered a mere 22,270 kilometers. So this is where most of the activity takes place in Etosha is by the waterholes. This is Okondeka, the easternmost spring. At the edge, it's a contact spring at the edge of the pan. And Okondeka, for those that has been to Etosha, is very well known for its lions. I can't say every time, but it's one of the good places or best places to see lions. Here you can see them relaxing very nicely maybe waiting for a meal or two to come a bit closer. This is Umbika waterhole, which is very close to the southern gate of the Etosha National Park. A very, very busy waterhole in the late, especially during the dry season when the animals are forced to congregate around the waterholes. Koinachas waterhole is an artesian spring, just 2 kilometers from the Namatone rest camp. So it's a good spring to visit either early morning on a quick drive or late afternoon before the gates closes. Klein Namatone spring. The eastern part of Etosha has a large population of especially giraffe. And then also in the foreground, two black-faced impala males. You can see by the lovely horns that they have, the spiraled horns. And we'll look at the black-faced impala a little bit later. And then elephants, of course, one of the attractions. Etosha is home to 4 of the big 5. It has elephants, rhino. The one that it doesn't have is buffalo. So it's got elephant, rhino, lion, leopard, but no buffalo. And also no wild dogs. Here in the foreground, there are some female black-faced impala. Beautiful Okakuya waterhole, one of the most well-known waterholes. Quiet evening at this particular occasion with just one elephant. This is the only tree that's still surviving. It's one of the management problems, waterholes and the concentration of animals. It's one of the management problems in Etosha. We'll look at that a little bit later, how Okakuyo actually looks compared to what it looked in the 1980s. And that's why it's one of the best places. It does not have the diversity of animals that Kruger National Park has, but it has the ease with which you can see animals, because it's a very open park to a large extent. So yes, some big elephant bulls on their way somewhere. Always keep a safe distance from big game like us. They do value their personal space. Black rhino, yeah. Etosha has the largest population of the western subspecies of black rhino, Diceros bicornus. We can't say how many because of the problem of poaching in Etosha, which rhino poaching, which is a problem. But it has the largest population of the western subspecies of black rhino and has actually contributed. Some of the Etosha black rhino have been translocated to parks in South Africa many years ago. Slightly smaller than the white rhino. It's called also the mouth. If you look at the mouth, it has a very pointed mouth, a hooked lip, because it's a browser, smaller body, about 1.6 meters tall compared to the white rhino. Concave back, this little concave back here. And the head is normally held high, and the calf is normally follows behind. And most people will also say one characteristic of it, it's actually quite an aggressive animal. It does have a little bit of a temper on it. And these were brought into Etosha. A lot of them were brought into Etosha in the between 1967 and 1972 from the northwest of Namibia. The white rhino, as you can see here, this one frontal, the very wide mouth, because it's a grazer. It's a little bit taller than the black rhino. And these were brought into Etosha from Kruger National Park in 1995. the first lot were brought in. They are grazers. That's why the mouth is a square mouth like that. And then, of course, unfortunately, people go for the big ones, the big and hairy, the big four in Etosha. In that case, lions. Etosha has a very good lion population currently, somewhere over 400, 430. And on this particular occasion, these two were having their honeymoon and decided to celebrate it on the tar road on the way to the southern gate, Anderson Gate. This is some lionesses close to Okondeka Spring on the edge of Etosha. Leopard, another one of the big four in Etosha, quite a large population of leopard. And they can normally be seen near waterholes because they ambush their prey. And so a careful look at the waterholes in Etosha, and you might very well come across leopard during a visit to Etosha. Then cheetah, considering the wide open spaces, Etosha does not have large numbers of cheetah. There's various reasons for that. One of the reasons being that because they are not scavengers, they are very susceptible to anthrax, which is a deadly disease. So if the cheetah kills an animal that has anthrax and consumes it, they don't have the resistance that lions have built up, hyenas and jackal against anthrax. And then they also they are at a lower level of the hierarchy. So a lot of the time their prey, their kills get stolen by other predators. And the young get killed as well by other predators, especially because of the large population of lions and then also the fairly large population of spotted hyena. There we are, hyenas. Etosha does have quite a large population of hyenas as well. Kleinamatone waterhole has a resident pack living in the vicinity there, so they can often be seen there. And then it's not just about, in total, Etosha has 114 species of animals, and we go down to the small ones as well, the suricat or the meerkat, which is quite a little entertainer, always very alert, standing, watching to make sure that there are no predators swooping down, especially eagles or hawks. Moving on to the antelope in Etosha. Etosha has quite a number of antelope. This is the little Damara dik-dik, the smallest antelope in Namibia, only 40 centimeters high and weighs 5 kilograms. And it used to be a subspecies of the Kirk's dik-dik in East Africa, but has been separated and is no longer called Madokwa kirkai, but it's actually called Madokwa damarensis. And that can only be seen in the vicinity of south of, not just south, in the vicinity of Namatone in the east of the park, where the environment is suitable for them. There we are, these beauties, female black-faced impalas. Between 1961 and 1971, they were caught in Kahuku land. Originally, quite a large number of them, because they reach the southern limit of their distribution more or less in the west of Etosha, but in the northern part, and their numbers in Kahuku land, which is northwestern Etosha, their numbers was declining considerably. because of drought poaching. And then it was decided to capture them. So there were about 3 capture operations that was done. They are subspecies of the common impala, and they are basically endemic to northwestern Namibia and originally southwestern Angola as well. Uh, Unlike the coat of the, you can see it's a bit of a reddish coat, and it's got there one you can see it's got a bit of a bushy tail, but the most distinguishing mark is this blaze on the front face. That distinguishing them, so they are subspecies of the common impala. Uh, and in the 1980s, by the 1980s, so from 1971, they were kept in a special enclosure. They increased to such an extent that they could be released into the park, and then by the year 2002, since then, a lot of them have been released in communal conservancies in the northwestern part of the park. Etosha's most common antelope. When it comes to antelope, there are some 13 species of antelope. During the dry season, anything that counts for shade is utilized by springboks, so you often see them during the dry season clustered together under whatever little space is available. It's the most common antelope in Etosha, and in good times, because the numbers of these animals fluctuate quite considerably because of environmental conditions, drought, times of abundance after good rains. But they can number up to 21,500 during good seasons. Blue wildebeest, another species. Their numbers over years declined quite considerably, but it seems to be increasing again. Also called the clown of the plains because of their peculiar behavior at times. Gemsbok, the national animal of Namibia, and also the emblem of the conservation authorities, the Old Fort and the Gemsbok. This particular herd of Gemsbok was taken on Andoni Plains in the north of the park, which is an important dry season congregation of especially zebra, blue wildebeest, and Gemsbok. Red hartebeest, especially occurring in the sort of eastern central parts of the park, mainly there, and then also in western Etosha, in the far west of Etosha. They live on the ecotone between those kind of woodlands and the grasslands. But in the area of Halali, one of the rest camps in Etosha, they can frequently be seen there as well. Kudu, the very regal kudu, to very beautiful kudu bulls. The females don't have any horns. And then also very fortunate in the left-hand side, an eland, the largest antelope in Namibia and also in the park for that matter then. The eland are normally very shy. If they are, say, for example, if you approach a waterhole and they are on their way to drink and a vehicle comes, they tend to run away. So they tend to be really shy animals when it comes to protecting themselves. Giraffe, tall as antelope, largest population occurs in the east of the park, although they occur everywhere. but a large population can normally be seen in the east of the park. Then we come to the zebras. Two species of zebra found in Etosha. This is the plain zebra, two males having a go at each other there. They can actually inflict very serious damage to each other. And just because, and they occur throughout the park, originally only in the eastern part of the park, but they have also spread to the western side of the park. And then we have the Hartmann's mountain zebra. They occur originally also only in the western part of the park, but have also spread eastwards because of waterholes that were drilled along the 19th parallel. So both species are now overlapping in quite a large area of the park, and there is research going on about the possibility of hybridization between the two species. So let's come to the birds of Etosha. There's approximately 400 bird species, give or take one or two, which makes Etosha one of the best species places in Namibia for birding. 1/3 of the birds in Etosha are summer visitors. So that's why if you're into watching game, your best time is during the cool winter months, which is normally from about May through to August, because that's when the animals congregate around the waterholes, because there's nothing else for them to drink. They're forced to concentrate on the waterholes. If you're interested in birding, on the other hand, your best times would be from October to about March, April, because that is when you have your summer visitors. Etosha, a very important breeding site for blue cranes. Decline in their numbers is a cause for concern because they are classified as critically rare with a very small population. And the Etosha population is the only population in Namibia, is about 1,000 kilometers from the nearest population, which is in the Northwest Province. And then the park is very famous during exceptional rainy years when the park is filled with water, or the pan rather. Up to 1 million flamingos can congregate to come and breed at Etosha. A lot of them fly from the coast of Walvis Bay wetlands. It's a distance of about 500 kilometers. How they get to know that there is water in Etosha is still a subject that we don't know. But basically, they pack up, leave Walvis Bay wetlands late afternoon, fly in the evening because of the thermals is better then. And the next morning, they've completed their 500-kilometer journey to Etosha Pan. But because of the pan doesn't hold water throughout the year, and then what happens very often, and their breeding attempts are unsuccessful. This is some lesser flamingos, and you can see that basically from the maroon bill. Basically, the whole bill is maroon. And they also have a more pinkish color than the greater flamingo. Great white pelican also only around when there's sufficient water. Quite often they can be seen when fish's pan has got water. They can be seen there. They've also tried to breed unsuccessfully so, or semi-successfully so. Let's rather say semi-successfully so, because they have bred but not been able to raise all their young because of the pan drying up prematurely. Also, when there is sufficient water, something in the region of about 12 species of waterfowl. This is the South African shell duck. And there's also quite a large number of water ducks and geese, other species. But that is waterbird species up to 60 species. And then, as I've mentioned, around 12 waterfowl species. The largest bird in Etosha has quite a population. These are some bachelors having a meeting there. Not quite sure what the discussion was all about, but there was a conference there. And they're seen quite frequently throughout the park. One of the largest, because it's a contentious issue, people say yes, it is, others saying no, it's not, the Kori bustard. But one of the largest flying birds can weigh quite substantially, I think, if I remember correctly, something like up to 14 kilograms. So they are seen strutting around the park quite often. Secretary bird, another one of the raptors. Etosha has, because of the availability of wildlife, Etosha has a very large population of raptors. The secretary bird being classified as a raptor. And this fellow here typically stands on the northern black koran, normally stands on the termite mounds to advertise his presence to ladies in the vicinity, flies up into the air with his legs dangling down, making a terrible racket, and then swooping down. Quite a couple of species of hornbills in Etosha, southern yellow-billed hornbill, southern red-billed hornbill, Montero's hornbill in the west of the park. Vultures, whiteback vultures at a carcass. They frequently seen. Here they're gorging themselves on a carcass. The Battalier, one of the most beautiful flying birds, takes its name from its motion of tipping its wing backwards and forwards from the French. It's a French name because of the way that it tips its wings backwards and forwards in a very distinctive tail. So it's easy to identify when it's flying. And they sometimes spend hours at waterholes. PCG, as it's commonly known amongst birders, the pale-chanting goshawk, having caught a meal for itself, in this case, a guinea fowl. Then when it comes to reptiles, Etosha has about 112 species of reptiles that have been recorded in the park or are expected to be found in the park. It's not known. That's, in other words, your snakes, your lizards, and your tortoises, 2 species of tortoises. The leopard tortoise, which is pictured here, and then the Kalahari tent tortoise. That is the other tortoise species that can be found. But the one you're most likely to see is the leopard tortoise. Rock monitor, Lakawan, as it's also called, the largest reptile in the park. And these little guys are quite special. These are the Etosha agama, and they are endemic to Etosha and just to the north, the area known as Uwambo. So they are endemic. This is the male in breeding, in breeding, can't say plumage, in breeding form. So it's a very special reptile for Etosha. And then after rain, lots of these fellows, the giant bullfrog, they can weigh quite a lot. Males can weigh up to 1.4 kilograms. They emerge, they can stay for years. Most of the amphibians in Etosha, there are about 16 species. Most of them can remain dormant deep in the ground or in crevices or under rocks, under tree trunks, dead tree trunks for many years. And then when it rains within a very short time, they just emerge spontaneously. And the giant bullfrog is one of these 16 species. Males can weigh up to 1.4 kilogram. And then if you look at these cone-shaped projections here, bony projections, they can inflict very, very painful bites with those ones. The males are very protective. Once the tadpoles breed out, where, say, for example, a pan dries up, but there's an adjacent little pan where there's water, they will actually dig a tunnel or a canal so that they can go from one pool where there's maybe where the water is drying up to another pool where they can then survive longer. They are quite vicious, fighting with each other, very territorial. And in the north of Etosha, in Ovambo, it's a delicacy with the local people. They catch them now, especially when during the rainy season they are caught and they are actually consumed as food. So, okay, Etosha also being as big as it is, we said it's what, 280 kilometers long, and then quite substantial width, 105 kilometers at its maximum width. It's not a pristine environment anymore because it's been fenced. 824 kilometers of fencing, and what has happened? Due to lack of maintenance, the fence became dilapidated over most of Etosha a couple of years ago. But they are in the process of upgrading and restoring the fences to keep the animals in and also to stop them actually leaving the park. This is a recently completed upgraded fence. As at mid-2025, only 185 kilometers of the fence were upgraded and repaired. So that leaves 639 that they hope to be upgraded by 2030. So we're looking at another 4 years before the park is fully fenced. So that's one of the management problems. So obviously it also impacts animals, migratory animals, which in the past would have migrated out of the park, like say, for example, most of them in actual fact, your antelope and a lot of the grazers. With over 1,000 kilometers of roads, road maintenance is a major challenge, and sadly so. The Ministry of Environment has come in for criticism, especially last year because of the condition of the roads, because of lack of maintenance. But yeah, 1,000 kilometers of roads, that's a lot of roads that needs to be graded. One has to bear in mind that the number of vehicles and number of visitors to Etosha has increased considerably over the years. So that is the good thing is they started last year tarring the road from Okukuyu, Rest Camp towards the east, Namatoni, and then further north to the other, to Andoni Plains. I think it's about 220 kilometers. And that project is ongoing. It's a little bit on the slow side, but it will tar the main link roads from Okukuyu to Namatoni and then from there north. Fire, one of the hazards in the park, management challenges in the park. Fire is seen as a natural feature. Yes, it is, because fires are started by lightning. But more recently, what has become a cause for concern is fire starting from neighboring farms by charcoal burners. And in September 2025, one such fire consumed about 34% of the total area of the park because of lack of implementing the management of patchwork mosaic burning. And then we spoke earlier, right at the beginning, there was a slide with that tree and an elephant in the foreground. Now, in the 80s, all of this that you can see here, all of this, whoops, sorry, let me just quickly go back. All of this was covered in bush. But because of the damage caused by elephants and things like that, in fact, somewhere over here, the lions used to wait and ambush game that came to drink here at the spring because of the concentration of animals all year round, because previously they would have had to move. This whole area has been denuded. So that's been the reason as well why some of the waterholes in the park, especially waterholes that have been drilled, caused by drilling, had to be closed to relieve the pressure on the environment. Okay, Etosha has got 4 rest camps, easily accessible along good gravel roads, not gravel roads, my goodness me, tar roads, Namatone in the east, the landmark Fort Namatone, that it's not the original Fort Namatone, the first one that was burned down in 1904, and then subsequently it was rebuilt on 2 occasions. This is the landmark Fort Namatone. Okokuyo, also Okokuyo, accessible from the south at what used to be called Anderson Gate. It's just recently been renamed Ombika Gate, which is close to the Ombika waterhole. And the landmark tower here, Limestone Tower, which is also a very popular sundowner spot. In the west, one of the one of the more luxury accommodation establishments of NWR on the hills, the Dollarite hills there. And then Alali, known for its beautiful little woodland of mopane trees. And then there's also one on the close to Namatone as well. That's on the edge of the park. And another one that's quite well known is for campers, and that's Willie, which is between Okokuyo and the western part of the park. Now we've covered quite a lot, and we had a gremlin that came in between us, which we managed to fix, thank goodness for Belinda and Grant for handling that. So we've had to go through quite a lot in a short time. The good news is if you're planning to visit Namibia, hopefully the petrol and the diesel prices will stabilize in the near future. There's Visitor's Guide to Namibia, which covers all aspects of the park, especially also how to get there and what have you. The Great White Place, brief history, planning and preparation, out and about in Etosha, the waterholes and game drives, the mammals, the birds, the smaller creatures, park management, ecology and research. And this is just to give you an insight into what's inside the book. Uh, I think it's quite an extensive book, very well illustrated with color photographs, and 176 pages, a very handy format uh, for visitors, so it fits into the glove box of the car. Also, the sections dealing with the various species of mammals, and it tells you where's the best viewing. In other words, if you're interested in leopard, where must I go to see leopard or any of the other species? And then there's a special offer uh, that is available right now. And with that, I thank you for your attention, and I hope that you found it interesting, even though we had to go through things very quickly.
Thank you, Willie. That was fantastic. I think comments of people just saying how fantastic the photographs were, and as you say, a lot to get through in a short period of time, and a massive country. I think that's something I would ask you just to comment on possibly is, I think just for everybody to understand how big Namibia is. So, when you travel and you think things are close, from here to from Cape Town to Windhoek up to the top of the border, what should people who are planning on traveling to Namibia sort of be conscious of in terms of sort of the overall experience in getting around in Namibia?
Yeah. Okay. Just last Wednesday, we were in fact on our way from Cape Town to back to Windhoek. So roughly, we're talking about, say, from Cape Town, about 1,500 kilometers. And what I always do, and whenever we go down to Cape Town, we sleep over in a place like, say, for example, Springbok, uh, on the first day going down to Cape Town. But coming back to traveling from Cape Town to Namibia, best to sleep over once you've crossed the border at a place called Grunau, somewhere in that vicinity. And then the next day, you only have about 650 Ks to do so. In the first day, you do about 820 Ks. Sleep over at Grunau. There's quite a couple of accommodation places there. And then from head to Windhoek the next day, spend the day in Windhoek. And then generally, one can say from Windhoek, whether you're going through towards Namatone, in other words, the eastern entrance or the southern entrance, roughly work on about 450 kilometers.
Here we go. Again, just some comments here, people saying again about the really interesting talk and happy with some fantastic photographs. Willie, I know it's always difficult because you think it's in terms of you never know what you're getting with weather, but when generally would be the best time for people to plan not only a trip if you're going to come into Namibia, not only for Etosha, but if you're going to come there, is it? Yeah, let me rephrase that. Is it the type of trip that you come and you just come to Etosha and you plan around the best time for Etosha, or is there sort of, if you're coming that distance, when do you plan and other things around it, and then sort of when would that be the best time to do it?
Generally, I think from end of April, in general time-wise, end of April to I would say September.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best time for Namibia, especially for Etosha. If you're looking at looking at mammals as such, but it's also that's a cooler part of the year. Namibia can be pretty hot. Although the other day we were fortunate, we got to Cape Town at the end of your what do you call that hot spell where
Heat
it was
wave.
40 heat
Yeah.
wave of 40 degrees. Now, the difference between a heat wave of 40 degrees in Cape Town and 40 degrees in Windhoek or in Namibia is that here it's a dry heat, whereas in Cape Town you have the humidity added to it. But that's generally the best time also because of this thing called mosquitoes. We do have times during the rainy season, malaria can be a bit of a problem. So normally from end of April till September, that's when you're least likely to contract malaria. But also because of global warming, they are spreading a little bit beyond uh, their normal distribution. But yeah,
Sure.
weather-wise and for game viewing, April to September is the best. I think if you're traveling to Namibia, uh, if your main destination is Etosha, there are other places also along this road that you could also visit. Say, for example, Waterberg Plateau Park,
Mm.
which is what is it, 240, 300 kilometers from Windhoek, and yeah, and there's the Hoba meteorite, the largest meteorite in the world. So yeah, it's we have Italians that come in October and they want to see the whole of Namibia in 8 days. That is from Caprivi or the Zambezi region till Luderitz, and they want to see it in 8 days. So
Yeah,
it is good, I think, to make a little bit of a holiday of it, rather than just heading one way or the other to Etosha.
of course. Thank you. Lynn's asked, can you recommend any local safari companies that do guided tours?
Oh my goodness. Lynn, sorry, I can't think offhand. Uh, but because I'll have to let my mind go. If you can get in touch with me and I can find out for you, I'll give you my email address. It's Willie, Willie, dot Olivier, Olivier, numerical number 2, dot com.
Perfect. Thank you, Willie. That's most kind. And as I said, Namibia has a very well-established tourism industry, and I'm sure if she doesn't come right, the interwebs will be able to help us
Yes,
source and find
but
something for
she's
that.
welcome. I just have to let my mind go now
Fantastic.
to
Thank you,
come
Willie.
up
That's most kind.
with one that I know. Okay, I can really recommend that. That was a bit fast on me, but I'm quite
Perfect.
willing to help. She can email me and I'll get back to her. It's Lynn, is it?
Yeah, Lynn Jackson. Thank you, Lynn.
Lynn Jackson. Okay.
Nicholas has asked you, how is the park recovering from the major fire that you mentioned?
Yeah, actually, yeah, there was quite a lot of uproar after the fire because, quite frankly, it was caused because of a lack of implementing the patchwork mosaic ban uh, program. So it spread very quickly. It was in a matter of 9 days. It spread over 34% of the park. Fortunately, it has recovered. That was in September. And fortunately, in October, November, the park had some rain and it recovered quite quickly, remarkably quickly. So what it actually did do, sometimes it takes a disaster to get people to act.
Mm.
But because of the public uproar, because of the publicity, it spurred the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism into action to actually make sure that it doesn't happen. Because more lately, even though fires are caused by lightning, and it's a natural thing, more lately, these farm fires that's starting on neighboring commercial farms are a bigger cause or a bigger problem when it comes to managing fires in the park.
I'm glad to hear that it's recovered. That's great news. Alison has asked, is a 4x4 or a high clearance vehicle essential?
uh, Etosha is a great place, but and they are working on fixing what needs to be fixed. So uh, it's not essential. A high clearance vehicle can, if you stick to the main roads, in other words, that is the roads basically, Namatoni, which is in the east, Halali, and Okokuyu, which is about 150 kilometers. And then you've got the Okokuyu Road to the west of the park. If you stick to the main roads, a small car will do. Uh, when it's just been graded,
Mm.
but some of them do get. The problem is the volume of vehicles. They grade it. You're lucky today, and 2 weeks later, it's corrugated because, quite frankly, as well, people are silly. They drive with their tires that's overinflated, which causes problems to the roads, and they also drive too fast. The speed's supposed to be 60 kilometers an hour, and the Italians, no, I shouldn't say that, otherwise I'm going to be crucified for singling out the Italians as visitors. But people drive too fast. They don't deflate their tires so that there's less impact on it. So, yes, it is. I would say preferably a high clearance vehicle. Not 4x4 is not needed, but
Mm.
preferably a high clearance vehicle. The tarring of the road's still going to take a couple of years, I would imagine. But yeah, I would say a high clearance vehicle. Small vehicle can do it, but it might be an uncomfortable drive if you. And then the problem is with a small vehicle is getting to the waterholes, which is off the main, let's say, transit road or the main road. That's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, I agree. I think the main thoroughfares are all fine. It's when you go off the track, even if it's not 4x4, it's just the uncomfortability of riding over those corrugations for what can potentially be hours at a time, and that's where it gets a little bit
Yeah, no.
uncomfortable.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen people doing it in sedan cars, and they look pretty shaken up, to say the least. And they did take some of the byways as well, but yeah, they looked a bit shaken up. But I think with the tarring of the road, what's actually happened is that there's also more attention to grading some of the side roads, especially in
Mm.
the areas where they are busy tarring, because to keep those roads in a good shape.
Great. Well, Willie, that's what we've got for questions. Just a comment again from people saying thank you so much for a wonderful talk. Thank you for the pictures. Thank you for all the interesting information and tidbits that you've shared with us today. It was a great pleasure having you. Thank you to all of our guests for joining us from South Africa and around the world. And then a visitor's guide to Etosha National Park is on special, and the link is here in the webinar, and you'll also receive it in your email link. Willie, thanks you so much for sharing your time with us. We would love to have you back again. Thank you, Belinda, in the background for sorting everything out. And to all of our guests, we look forward to seeing you in a month's time. Thank you, Willie. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks
Goodbye.
so much. And yeah, we had to cover a lot in a short time, but thanks for putting up with me. And luckily, the gremlin that tried to boycott us got sorted out. But from my side as well, thank you for your attention. Really appreciate it. And hopefully, yes, you will come to Namibia, and you will maybe also find a visitor's guide to Etosha National Park, a useful guide to help you on your way there. Thanks so much.
I'm sure they would. Thank you, Willie. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.